On warm nights in southwest Arkansas, motorists reported seeing a red-eyed beast. Locals claimed it stalked the swamps, and they called it the Fouke Monster, and it shook the tiny town and even inspired a cult film. Welcome to the Fifth File, where we do deep dives into the cold, the missing, and the unexplained. In 1971, the small rural town of Fouke, Arkansas, located just outside of Texarkana, was thrust into the spotlight after a terrifying incident. The residents of Fouke were gripped by fear and fascination. Their quiet lives were ever changed by the unknown lurking in the swamps. On the night of May 2nd, Bobby and Elizabeth Ford reported that a large, unknown creature broke through the window of their home. Elizabeth claimed she saw a massive, hairy arm reaching through the window and glowing red eyes staring at her through the darkness. Bobby ran outside and chased the creature into the woods, firing several shots. He later claimed he was knocked to the ground, scratched, and left in shock. There was no sign of blood and no body of the creature. The next morning, investigators found strange, three-toed footprints, deep claw marks on the house, and damage to the porch. In the weeks following the Ford incident, sightings of the creature began to surge. Throughout May and June of 1971, multiple residents reported seeing a towering, ape-like figure between 7 and 10 feet tall. Witnesses described it as moving upright with a hunched posture, often seen darting across Highway 71 or lurking near bean fields at night. Even local game warden Carl Gallion investigated the case. He examined the now famous three-toed tracks, but was unable to match them to any known animal. As sightings of the creature grew, so did the public's obsession. A $1,000 bounty was posted. Cameras and dogs were deployed, but the creature was never captured. Local law enforcement later fined hoaxers, and skeptics declared the three-toed prints implausible, as apes don't have 3 toes. Yet, the sightings persisted into the mid-70s, tapering out but not disappearing. In 1972, local filmmaker Charles B. Pierce dramatized the legends into the film The Legend of Boggy Creek, mixing interviews with reenactments and real residents portraying themselves. On a small budget of $160,000, it grossed millions and turned Fouke into a landmark of cryptid folklore. As interest in the Fouke Monster grew, so did the search for physical evidence. Footprints, reportedly measuring up to 17 inches, were found near sighting locations. However, experts remain skeptical. Archaeologist Frank Shambach publicly dismissed the idea that the creature was a natural animal, pointing out that no known primate has 3 toes or exhibits a strictly nocturnal pattern. To this day, the evidence remains either anecdotal or possibly fabricated. Though official investigations offered no conclusive proof, the mystery surrounding the Fouke Monster never faded. The blend of eerie encounters, bizarre footprints, and small-town fear left a lasting impression, not just on locals, but on cryptid enthusiasts across the country. Today, the Fouke Monster has become more than just a backwoods legend. Every spring, crowds gather for Fouke's annual Monster Festival, complete with guided tours and midnight screenings of the legend of Boggy Creek. Over the years, several theories have emerged, some rooted in science, others in folklore. The first theory is the most grounded explanation, and it's that the Fouke Monster wasn't a monster at all, but a misidentified animal. Some believe it could have been an escaped ape, a bear with mange, or even a particularly large wild boar glimpsed in poor lighting. Fouke is surrounded by dense swampland where visibility drops at night and animal noises can be haunting. Bears, especially when standing upright or injured, can appear humanoid from a distance. But critics point out that the creature's supposed size, upright gait, and three-toed tracks don't align with any known regional wildlife. The second theory is that the Fouke Monster was never seen at all, at least not in the way people believe. Following the Ford family's report, local and national media jumped on the story. As news spread, sightings multiplied. In psychology, this is known as mass hysteria, when belief, fear, and suggestion ripple through a community. In this theory, people weren't lying, but interpreting natural sounds or shadows through the lens of a shared myth. The release of the legend of Boggy Creek only fueled the fire, blending fact with dramatization until the line between the two nearly disappeared. The third theory suggests that the Fouke Monster was never real to begin with, but rather a local hoax that spiraled into legend. At the time, law enforcement actually fined several individuals for fabricating sightings, which raises serious doubts about the authenticity of some reports. One of the most suspicious details was the discovery of three-toed footprints, something that immediately raised red flags for wildlife experts. No known primate has only 3 toes, and many believe the tracks were artificially created. According to this theory, the Fouke Monster may have started as a prank or exaggerated story, but quickly gained traction. Once the media picked it up and public curiosity exploded, people may have had reasons to keep the myth alive. It's possible that the original encounter was genuine, but everything that followed became part of a larger, self-sustaining, tall tale. And the final theory is that the Fouke Monster may be a yet undiscovered species, possibly a cryptid uniquely adapted to the swampy wilderness of Arkansas. Despite decades of skepticism, many locals still believe they saw something that doesn't belong in any known field guide. Believers, including some cryptozoologists, argue that remote areas like Boggy Creek could easily conceal a large, elusive animal, especially one that's nocturnal. Dense foliage, murky waterways, and limited human presence would make it easier for such a creature to remain hidden. The consistencies in eyewitness accounts describing an ape-like figure 7 to 10 feet tall, covered in dark hair and moving upright, add weights to this idea. While there's no physical evidence to prove the creature's existence, the persistent reports and the isolated terrain keep the possibility alive for some. While no conclusive proof has ever surfaced, the Fouke Monster continues to blur the line between reality and legend. Whether it was a bear, a myth, a prank, or something far stranger, it captured the imagination of an entire town and left footprints in American folklore. What do you think? Was the Fouke Monster real, a myth, or something in between? Let me know in the comments below. And if you're drawn to stories that linger long after they're forgotten, subscribe to The Fifth File for more deep dives into the cold, the missing, and the unexplained.